Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to another Delta Force video. It's been a long time since I've said that. I haven't really looked at this game for quite some time, but today we finally have the news that I think a lot of people out there have been waiting for, and that is the release date for Delta Force on console. There's also a new season coming, so I thought in this video we'd just do a quick rundown of everything. They did a really lengthy 1.5 hour stream there. There's a ton of stuff to go over, so we're going to sort of make it as quick and concise here as possible. As always, if you guys enjoy the content on the channel, make sure you're subscribed. Plenty more to come here in the future, mainly on Battlefield, but I'm always keeping a close eye on Delta Force as well, and trying to see if there's anything worthwhile to come back to. So as always, thank you guys so much for the support. So let's just tackle the big news first here, because they put this in at the end of the live stream, but we may as well just go over it. So the console version is going to launch on the 19th of August for PlayStation 5 and Xbox S and S. It's going to be free to play, of course, just like the PC version. You're going to get the Black Hawk Down campaign that's somewhere down the line. I'm not sure if that's releasing at exactly the same time, but that's going to be free as well. And there's also going to be a closed beta test in July. Now, I do believe this is only for the US market for whatever reason, so a bit of a bummer for you Europeans out there, or people from Asia or from Oceania, but at least there's some sort of beta test, so you can, I believe, sign up for that if you go over to their website. So with that said, let's take a look at some of the content here, because the last season of Delta Force wasn't really sufficient, in my opinion. It didn't really grip me and hold me. Some of the stuff in this new season does look pretty cool, but I will say that the majority of it seems to be for the extraction mode, or the operations mode, as they call it. So the first thing they have here is a new operations map, and it's called Operation Floodline. And basically what it is a prison break mode. So they've really taken a lot of tropes from certain movies. You've seen references in here to Shawshank Redemption. You've seen references to, is it called The Rock, the one on the island with Sean Connery and Alcatraz? I think so. So basically this prison is on an island, and your job is to escape the prison. You have to grab key cards, work your way through the different sectors of the prison in order to get out, and then extract gear and valuables along the way that you find, and once you get out, then you sort of pocket that stuff, just like you do in all of the other extraction modes. I do think it makes a lot of sense, right, in an extraction game to extract from a prison. It actually looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really played Operations at all, but this might be the map that actually inspires me to jump in there and give it a go. They've also added with this the ability to swim and dive in the game. So there is going to be some water here. Obviously, you're on an island, right? So once you escape, presumably, if you take some certain routes through the prison, you have to swim through water. Maybe if you crawl through the tunnel here, which looks like the Shawshank Redemption inspired one, complete with poster and all, you're probably going to end up in some water and have to swim through it. So that's pretty cool. They did ask one of the streamers that was on the live stream, he asked if there was going to be any kind of solo mode for this, and for me that's important as well, because I'm a solo player, and they said it's not going to be there on launch, but like they may consider it if there is a big demand for it. I think there is a big demand for it. I think not having solos in any extraction shooter or even a battle royale is like kind of a miss, to be honest with you, so I really hope they do add that in there. So what have they got coming for the warfare mode, for the battlefield inspired mode then? Well, there is one new map here. It's called Cyclone, and it has dynamic weather. That's sort of the focus, I would say, of this update here. Again, it's on an island, a tropical island, so you've got a lot of water around. It's going to be using the same swimming and diving system that the operations system uses, of course, and they're going to be adding jet skis. Unfortunately, they're not going to be adding attack boats or anything cool like that. When I first saw the footage of this, I assumed, oh my god, Delta Force are bringing in naval warfare, which is actually something that Battlefield 2042 didn't do. That appears to not be the case. It's just going to be jet skis, you know, ways in which you can maneuver through the water. Like I said, the swimming and diving. Other than that, it's basically based on a tropical island. It looks pretty cool, but it's only one map. And I think if you're a warfare-only player, one map, it's probably not going to hold your attention for that long. Now, whilst the jet ski is the only new vehicle here, they did mention that jets are finally coming at some point, which they've said before, of course, but they are in production and they are slated for next season. So it's taken a really, really long time to add jets into the game. Hopefully, they're going to be decent, and that's why it's taken such a long time, because the vehicles in Delta Force, they're just not very good, especially the air vehicles, helicopters, kind of trash when it comes to movement mechanics. So, you know, when it comes down to the jets there, I really do hope they're going to take their time and they don't end up being this sort of nothing burger after this long wait. There's also going to be a couple of new weapons here, the KC-17 assault rifle, and then the compound bow. That's pretty much it. Only 2 weapons. Again, I think this is way too little content for the warfare mode. And I have to say, after having watched the live stream and everything that they've put on offer here, it does feel like they always prioritize the operations mode far more than the warfare mode, and I think the player base is certainly there. The majority of people playing Delta Force, they're playing operations, they're playing extraction, they're not playing warfare, and so maybe that's the reason behind that. But again, if you're like a Battlefield player, which I'm sure most of you guys are here on the channel, and you're looking for more warfare content, 1 map and 2 weapons is just not really going to cut it. Now, they've also added tow missiles to the game for both vehicles and for infantry, so I'm assuming they've added this to like all of the engineers as, you know, the variable gadget slot there where you can take your like M5 launcher or your RPG or whatever it's called, I forget the name of it. You can now presumably take a tow missile launcher there instead. So I'm kind of interested to see how that one works, because the tow missile mechanics through various Battlefield games have kind of differed, and you know, some of them have been good, like in Battlefield 4. The ones in Battlefield 2042 have kind of left some areas there to be desired, so I wonder how Delta Force are going to tackle this. Are they going to be too overpowered? I don't know, I'm definitely going to jump in and try them out when the time comes. And then they have a new operator coming, of course. So this operator is called Claire, or her call sign Tempest, and she has some extremely interesting mechanics. So this is basically the movement operator of Delta Force. Now, if you thought D-Wolf was the movement operator, well, you're wrong. She's the new one here. She's got a combat roll, which allows you to roll in 8 different directions. Then she has a drill charge, and this is somewhat similar to Luna's Volt Arrow, but the difference is that you stick it on a wall and it explodes after a couple of seconds, detonating the charge and electrocuting people, and it can also do damage through walls. So if you put it on a wall and there is somebody on the other side of that wall, it's also going to affect them as well. Then we come to the most interesting part of her gear, and that is the emergency evasion device. So for anyone who's played Tracer in Overwatch, and you can recall and return to one of your previous positions, this is basically that ability. So you use these 2 gas canisters. Don't ask me how the hell the realism factor of this works, but you use these 2 gas canisters somewhere, and that is going to be your recall point. And then presumably after that, you just hit a key and you recall to wherever that is. It's supposed to be like you have these tension wires on the back of you, on your exoskeleton, and you are pulled backwards by these 2 gas canisters that are kind of anchored into the ground or something. It's definitely a little bit far-fetched, but you know, it does look like a cool gameplay mechanic. Is it going to be overpowered though? That is my worry here, because I think, you know, in games like Battlefield and Delta Force's warfare mode, if you bite off more than you can chew, you extend too far, you peek a corner you shouldn't have, in my opinion, you deserve to be punished for that, right? You deserved to die and be killed. If you can just hit a button and be like, oh my god, there's like 5 guys around this corner, let me just recall, that seems kind of good, if you ask me. So, you know, I don't know, maybe we got to wait until we've got her in our hands and give her a try, but it sounds very good in practice. She also has an emergency, like, revive stim as well. I believe it's only usable in operations, so it's not going to affect warfare players, but yeah, basically you can recall to a safe distance and then use this auto stim on yourself to self-revive, so that again sounds very, very good. Now, one extremely welcome addition for the warfare mode is that they've now made distinctive visual changes in order to indicate whether an operator is a friend or a foe. And this is so important because, of course, they've decided with this game to go with the operator system. They've copied Battlefield 2042, and one of the major problems with that is that you can't tell enemy from friendly. And now, hopefully, these changes will allow that. So, you know, we've got slightly different color variances here. I'm not sure if the blue is going to be friendly, the red, slightly themed one is going to be enemy, or how that works out. But you can see there are some slight differences here. For example, like one of the D-Wolves has a mask over him now. So it will take some time, I think, to learn these differences and to know which is friendly and which is foe. But I have struggled with this in Delta Force. You know, a lot of the time I'll see somebody prone on the ground, I think they're dead or they're like a friendly, and then they turn out to be an enemy. So a couple of other tidbits here. They did say there is a new Egypt-themed map coming for Warfare in the future. So this is most likely going to be in the next season along with the jets there. So maybe we're going to see jets flying over pyramids. That could actually be pretty cool. And then one of the content creators that was on the live stream, he did ask if there were any nerfs coming to Luna, and they kind of circumvented the answer to this question by saying that what they were planning to do is buff the other operators in the game in order to somehow balance out how overpowered Luna is. And they did mention that we have a lot of Luna players out there, and so we don't want to make Luna, close to useless by nerfing her. The problem is you can't just buff other operators to bring them in line with Luna, because her ability, the ability to spot people, is just inherently overpowered. That there is no other way to fix this by buffing other things in the game. Unless you give like every operator wall hacks, then yes, I suppose you could argue you've balanced it in that way, but that would make the overall balance much worse. So I think they're really just, probably creating more problems here. I don't know why they're so incredibly against the community with this. I don't think I've seen a single person defending Luna and saying that they don't want to see the recon arrow nerf, but I don't know what to tell you guys. I digress. I'm not really surprised that they're not nerfing her. What else is new? So overall, I would say if you're an operations player, this update actually looks pretty meaty. Like I said, I myself, I'm going to jump in and try this new Operation Floodline map. The prison break mode there sounds pretty nice. If you're a Warfare player, might be worth jumping into, but I'm not sure it's going to hold your attention for all too long. I will be checking this out when it drops, and I'll do my best to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on it there, but feel free to leave yours down below, guys. As always, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more, and I will see you all in the next one.